8:24 on Hudson Valley Focus Live. Christopher Bledsoe is in the studio, Improv Patrol. Christopher, where's your studio located in Highland?
It's located right off of 299 in Highland. Most people know Yummy's, the big brown building that's famous for the ice cream and the miniature putt-putt golf.
Yes.
We are in that little business center right to the right of it.
Okay,
so
exactly where you are.
Yeah.
So I think if last time I went by there, there's a business opportunity for somebody there. I think there was a for rent sign on Yummy's, if I'm not mistaken.
Quite possibly.
Quite possibly. So we're talking about improv theater, and as we talked about before we headed out to the break, people think about, well, doing this, well, I don't want a career in theater, but this idea of breaking through your own walls, and you said something to me just as the mics turned off, what you really are teaching is the art of communication. I can think of a few politicians that we could send first, and I kind of mean that sincerely, because this whole idea of listening. Repeat, if you will, again what you said to me about learning the art of listening if you're going to do this kind of improv theater, and how that skill then just carries with you for a lifetime.
Absolutely. We live in a world where communication has totally broken down. And
that's true.
We see that every day. When people come to the theater, it's a life-changing course. And what I teach people is the true art of listening is when a person is having a conversation with you and you're not thinking of the responses that you're going to give them while they're talking to you. Because when we do that, our minds are preoccupied, and we're really not listening to what that person says. We've just taken a few nuggets, and we're formulating what we're saying. So I teach each individual the true art of listening is not to be preoccupied in your mind at all, but to give that person who's speaking to you 100% devoted attention and really sit there and absorb and take in what that person is saying. And when people do that exercise, they're often blown away. And it's a therapeutic process for the person who's listening and the person who's speaking.
Yes.
Because they get it and they're like, this is what a real conversation is like. This person isn't preoccupied with the answer they're going to give. They're just sitting here listening to me. And that process helps people to understand what having a true voice is. It's speaking up, saying what you want to say.
I have to tell you, when I think about what's going on in our everyday world and think about what you just said, we've lost that respect for the other person in the communication. I mean, I'm gonna use the specific example up at the state, where last year they passed this SAFE Act on the gun control bill. Well, we had people that did that in the dark of night. They didn't even go out and ask the law enforcement professionals, what tools do you need? If we don't listen to each other, how the heck can we expect to solve problems and go forward together?
Absolutely. And a person feels respected. They feel exonerated when someone is listening to them. And in a playback event, in improvisational theater, we can't get it right if we're not actually listening to that person when they're sharing it with us. And knowing that these are life-changing events, these are things that we use in our everyday life. As you mentioned, going to an interview and getting a job or applying for a job, actually listening to that president of a company when he interviews you.
Yes.
And he can see, wow, this person's got the art of communication down. When I'm talking, he's not preoccupied or she's not preoccupied. They're actually listening to the words that I say. Just an amazing thing. And it really helps us to rejuvenate the process of communication is a beautiful thing when it's done correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. Christopher Bledsoe, Improv Patrol, in the studio with me at 8:28 on Newstalk 1450 WKIP. What age group are the participants that come to your studio?
We definitely designed it. It's a family event. So we have children all the way up to adults. Family show. We feel that communication should start at a very young age. And even if it's at a more mature age, the process is always something that we have to work at. So we definitely have a family show.
Are there fees involved to participate?
For the workshop, we have a workshop every Wednesday from 6:30 to 8:30.
Okay.
There's a $20 fee for the workshop. For our shows, we usually have a show every fourth Saturday of the month from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And it's a $5 admission, but children are free.
You know, I can see situations where, particularly people in business, learning the art of communication, the listening skills, but I have met many people well into their adulthood who have that fear of getting up and presenting their ideas in front of a group. How do you address that? I mean, I've heard people say that, well, you know, more people are afraid of standing up speaking in front of a group than they are worried about getting killed.
Absolutely. I have a very good technique that I use. Researchers show that we perform sometimes at our best when we're by ourselves. There's nobody looking at us. There's nobody judging us. That's when we're comfortable and we do our best.
Yes.
In general. So what I teach people who have issues with getting up in front of people, I will have them to come up on stage and I will say to them, I want you to imagine that there's nobody here.
Okay.
It's just you. And I want you to think about there's nobody judging what you're saying. You're speaking and you're speaking from your heart. And you're not being concerned with any repercussions for it.
Christopher, we're going to come down to a hard break in just about 20 seconds. Can you give out your contact information, please?
Sure. You can reach us at our local number for the studio is 845-834-2328. Once again, that's 845-834-2328. We have a Facebook page and a YouTube page.
Christopher Bledsoe, thank you very much for coming in. A really interesting conversation about Improv Patrol and something that I think a lot of people could benefit from, even those who don't think they could benefit from it. Let's have the benefit of our own Cameron Hendrickson talking about man hit by truck in Ulster County.